all. Thank you guys for being here. Nay, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that so much. That was really sweet. Thank you. I love you and I appreciate you being here. And thank you all for being here. Hey, Music City. Thank you for being a member for 18 freaking months. Thank you. It's crazy. Hey, Buzz Boomer. I love your name and your picture. Hey, Pointer Lover. Hey, Trulia. I'm so glad you're alive. In the car, I bet, waiting on my baby's ultrasound on his liver. Oh, I'm sorry, Trulia. Hopefully it goes okay. Hey, Jennifer, keep me posted. Hey, Bogart. Happy birthday, Bogart. Hey, girls, Nana. I am feeling a little better. I'm still off a little bit. I can't even explain it, but Sunday night, like I was not feeling good. I was kind of tired. My chest was hurting. My throat was starting to hurt. I could feel my muscles getting sore. And then Monday, I cannot even explain to you the exhaustion, the way that I felt like a totally different person, just completely exhausted. I could not hardly keep my eyes open. And it's just been, just like a flu, and it's been miserable. So I'm happy to be here with you guys. Hey, Angie, and thank you guys for being here. Today was the perfect day for my return because Leilani Simon had her sentencing, and we have a lot to talk about. Hey, Shauna. Hey, Petunia. Hey, MK. Hey, Get Me a Snack. Shauna, thank you for being a member for 16 months. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you. Hey, Boho Hobo. Okay, so Claus actually, she called me and messaged me today. She was at the courthouse, and she sent me a message with this letter that was sent to the local news. This was actually brought up in the beginning of sentencing today, so that is where we're going to start. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and give you a little spoiler alert in case you weren't watching. Leilani was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole plus 10 years. So it appears that, and I got this from pap.georgia.gov, it appears that anyone that is sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 1996 will serve 30 years before they're eligible. Where the heck is it? Let me see here. State law. So in 1995, it says if the crime is committed on or after July 1st, 2006, the offender is eligible for parole after serving 30 years. So she's going to be eligible for parole at, after 40 years. She'll be 64 years old. She'll still have a chance at some sort of life. Unlike Quinton, he will never have a chance at life. So 40 years. Hey, Edith. Hey, Crystal. Hey, you guys. What do you think about this? Hey, Carolina. Okay, Nay. Oh, thank you, Clicker, for being a member for 14 months, and I love you back, and thank you. And Tess, I know. Hey, Bendy. We're going to talk about your channel in a minute. Pointer Lover says, I'm so pissed. All right, so we're going to start with this letter, though, to the local news, okay, because this is rich. From September 2nd of 2024. So this is what she was thinking, feeling, and willing to say and put out there just a couple months ago. WTOC, there is no factual evidence against me. None. As in no concrete without a doubt evidence. All the state has is speculation based on circumstantial evidence. Nothing, however, based in fact with undeniable proof/evidence. This is what the state doesn't have. No DNA evidence, no forensic evidence, no eyewitnesses, no murder weapon, no camera or video evidence, no time of death to prove I was at home during tragedy, no cause of death, and no proof of any previous abuse to Quinton or other children. I understand if you're skeptical of what I just wrote, but I assure it's the truth. It's fact. I implore you to do your own investigation into my claims to confirm. The public deserves to hear, to know some of the facts of this case and not only speculation based in circumstantial evidence. I firmly believe that if the investigators weren't mainly focused on me from day one of the investigation, that they may have found the evidence they lack and therefore the actual murderer. They, the state, are attempting to railroad me instead of admitting they have accused the wrong person for the past almost 2 years. Hey, Nurse Kristen, just video evidence of her throwing her son in the dumpster. They have that evidence. They have the evidence of her admitting to Danny that she lied about the Oragel story. I mean, they do have some evidence, but this was before the trial. I can't believe they let her decide where Quinton's remains get released to. Yes, we're going to get to that, Edith. Carolina, but not able to have any more children, thank God. In my opinion, Leilani should have gotten life without parole. Her letter says it all. She sounds like Letitia. She does. She truly does. I cannot believe that she has the nerve to work her little hand in the freaking pose, in the movements it takes to write this letter, and not only write it, but give it to someone. Like, I just cannot believe that she has that in her to do at this point. I firmly believe if the investigators weren't mainly focused on me from day one of the investigation, that they may have found the evidence they lack and therefore the actual murderer. They, the state, are attempting to railroad me instead of admitting they have accused the wrong person for the past almost 2 years. That right there says it all. It really does. Hey, Gammy. Just wanted to say I'm glad Allie is feeling better. She sounds great. I'll be back. Oh, thank you, Gammy. Tucker News Mom. Yeah, she's disgusting. Bendy's channel, Crystal. I'm going to link it right now. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Pointer Lover. It's this channel right here. Jen streamed today the trial, and we're going to watch just about 1 minute from her stream. And if you didn't get to see it, I would recommend go check it out. Who knows? I'm curious of how that's going to work. So at the end, she does suggest where, we're going to watch it, actually. I'm going to show you that part. I clipped that part, and then I have a timestamp to watch the actual sentencing. The bullshit that was spoken in the impact statements were very similar to this. I cannot believe that, and we're about to get into it. Let's go. I took some notes on like my Apple Note thing, and then I screenshot it and put it over here. So let's look. The state put on, a little bit of their argument of why they thought she deserved the strictest punishment she could get. I had my grandson and missed that part. Well, who knows? We're going to watch it together. But they did say this is what didn't come into trial. So they mentioned day one at the police station with Paul and Danny and Leilani, when they were all there, she was captured on camera asking Paul if he had any weed at home. So their point was basically, your son is missing, and what you're concerned about after spending all this time at the police station is if there's any weed at the house. Okay. It wasn't even impact statements. It was a drama fest. I'm disappointed in the way that went, because like Trulia says, no one there spoke on behalf of Quinton. I was so annoyed. I forgot some key rebuttals. Well, if you want to come up after I play this, Jen, I would love to hear it. So then they go on to the Stingrays. This is the bar, October 18th. This was the day that Chatham County Police announced that they would be doing the landfill search, and that they thought Quinton was deceased. What is wrong with me? I can't speak. They talk about security footage and interviewing a waiter there named Zach Anderson. And on that day, Leilani was flirting, partying, drinking, and having a good time. And they also said cheersing. So we remember about that other incident with the drinking, but nice to know. Then we have November the 21st. In her interview, the final interview after Quinton was found, she was confronted with the Stingrays incident, and she lied again, saying she was not consuming alcohol that night. He says, is it fair to say we did not charge for every false statement? And Detective Lemon said, yeah. They talk about her inpatient rehab. Okay, this was interesting. So we knew she had went to rehab in between the time that Quinton went missing and she was arrested. She was actually kicked out for fraternization with male patients. Like, wow. Oh, pointer lover. We will get to that. Hey, hippie chick. So also her behavior before trial while she's in jail. Her interactions with a number, forgive me for my notes because I'm just like typing out what he's saying, but her interactions with a number of men over the phone and messages, with a long-running pen pal relationship with a man who has been convicted of hurting children. They do video visits. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. The one who has been convicted of hurting children in Wisconsin, they call each other, she calls him hubby, okay? She also does video visits with a convicted felon in Boston who gives her money, and she has received money from men all over the world. Now, they clipped my behavior during trial. They had clipped and watched her comment and say that was a lie. That's an effing lie. And they did put that into evidence. They didn't show it, which is unfortunate. They also talk about when Leilani displays the most clear, visible emotion. And Detective Lemon says, I would think that would be the verdict when the verdict was read. And he said, what about when Quinton's dismembered foot was shown? She said she didn't appear to be upset. Now, I have to say, one time that his remains were shown, she did not appear to be upset. But there was the one time where we watched together where the tear or two fell from her eyes during his remains being showed. So just to have things accurately. Hey, Kimberly. I don't know why the judge allowed her family to speak such nonsense. They cried for Leilani, but not a tear for Quinton. This is sweet. The landfill employees have a hard time working there, knowing that part of Quinton is still there, and they actually have a memorial that they paid for in memory of Quinton. Now then Leilani's attorney gets up and he basically says, does any of this explain how Quinton passed away? It doesn't. So it's somewhat irrelevant, right? That was his point. Now we're going to switch over to Jen's live. I was going to play, well, actually, no, I have a clip. I forgot. Let me get to that. Her aunt got on the stand. Her brother got up there for her, Paul. And he did say she deserves punishment, but he thinks she deserves a chance at life one day. Her aunt got up and explained, she cried, and her and Danny both deserve the same punishment. Then let's watch this. Leilani wants Paul to get Quinton's remains. I think this is
when he found out about it. I waited until yesterday so I could think about it. Mm-hmm. But my son's been through enough. He's been through enough.
Diamond, do you have any further questions about that?
No.
And I'd like to hear it.
My son's been through enough. I don't know how good you can hear it. I'm going to turn on the volume booster, but it's just this part I had to clip because it's infuriating to see her act like she gives a damn,
I discussed with you that there could be further testing and science could advance.
Start it again with the volume booster.
When he found out about it. I waited until yesterday so I could think about it. Mm-hmm. But my son's been through enough. He's been through enough.
And Ms. Simon, do you have any further questions about that?
No.
And I'd like to hear it. I discussed with you that there could be further testing and science could advance in the years to come.
I know why it would be a downfall. I understand that there's still matter with the and I want a baby home. I just want a home.
Oh my God.
I want to clear that up. My argument is simple, Judge. We're asking for a life with parole sentence. There's only
my baby. I want him home. I just can't get over the acting. It's unbelievable. PB&J, hey, good to see you. And I am feeling a little bit better. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Hey, Brandywine. Let's see. Hey, Muscles. Nothing but a thing. Okay. Hey, Sunday, where are the other kids? The landfill workers care more than her family. Her mom ticked me off so bad standing up. That's what we're going to look at now. So let's go over to Jen's live at this timestamp that I have it at. This is when she has to stand to read the verdict, to hear the verdict, okay? And, you know, her mother stood with her. I'm curious how you guys feel about that. You know, I do find it to be, I guess, somewhat of a powerful or meaningful stance to take. Here, just watch. Boo sheet.
The one thing that I will say before pronouncing sentence is clearly Little Quinton Simon's life in
You
depth
real
impacted
quick.
many individuals, but also the community at large.
What do you guys think about that?
Leilani Marie Simon, the court
Thought it was weird,
is
Jennifer
as
said.
follows. Count 1, malice murder, felony, life with the possibility of parole. Count 2, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder is.
Do you see
vacated
that
by
nod in her
operation of law.
head whenever she gets her way? Look at this. Hold on.
Count
This just like
Count
I
1,
can't.
malice murder, felony, life with the possibility of parole. Count 2.
Like, yes, you're
felony
doing the
murder,
right thing,
vacated
Judge.
by
Oh
operation
my
of law.
God, it just pisses me off.
Count 3, felony murder is vacated by operation of law. Count 4, concealing
Okay,
the
Cammy.
death of another, 10 years consecutive to count 1. Count 5, false report of a crime is a misdemeanor.
Okay, so just a second. Let's see here. Cammie says, regardless of what your child does, you can never hate them. You can hate their actions, but you cannot hate your child. And I understand that for sure. I agree. Carol says, they're enabling her behavior. It's gross. Nurse Kristen, I feel like between her statement and that action, she made it more about her and Leilani. I could see that. I mean, I know it's just standing with her, but like I said, I don't know if powerful or meaningful are the right words, but it's a statement. You know, it definitely does make a statement that enabling hasn't stopped, in my opinion. I agree. Here, Jen, I'm going to drop the link if you want to come up. And then if not, so who knows? She got life with the possibility of parole plus 10 years. So at least 40 years until she's eligible for parole. The way I understand it from this website, I was trying to give it a look over before we went live. This is pap.georgia.gov/parole consideration, parole process, Georgia. The way I understand it is after that 40 years, if she goes up for like a parole hearing and they say no, then 8 years will go by and she'll get the chance again. So at 48 years and then again at 56 years, like that kind of thing. No one but the prosecutor stood up and spoke for Quinton. Makes me believe that Billy Joe stands as if she was accepting the sentence also. It seemed like that, Carolina. I kind of took it that way too. And even in her statement, which if Jen doesn't come up, we'll watch that. Even in what Billy Joe had to say, it seemed like she was really kind of making it about herself as well in a way, and what kind of mother she was, which I could see how she could get there. But
12
yeah,
months concurrent to count 4. Count 6, making a false statement,
hey, twist.
5 years concurrent with count 4. Count 7, making a false statement concurrent with count 4, 5 years. Count 8, false statement, 5 years consecutive with, concurrent
Let's
with
go
count
to
4.
where BJ speaks.
Count 9, making a false
It
statement.
kind
5
of
years
frustrated
concurrent
me
with
though
count 4.
that
Count 10 murders in
We didn't get to
2009.
hear anything really about Quinton. You know,
Oh, it's Billy. Yeah.
isn't that like what happens on sentencing day? You impact statements. I don't know. Let's have a listen to this.
Llie, Joe, J-O, Howell, Howell.
No, Dr.
And
B,
you
none
are
of them,
Ms. Simon?
nobody.
Oh, there's Mindy. Wait, let me put up a. Let me be smart about this. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, it's really
It's
you.
It's me. Oh God, now I gotta listen to me too? No.
No, but what do you think? Like, what are your thoughts just first, first thoughts immediately?
Okay. About her standing or about what I'm looking at right now?
About in general, and then about her standing, about her sentencing, that the sentence she got, and then about her standing with her.
While 40 years is a long time, in my opinion, it isn't long enough. I did not feel that justice was served today at all. They put the value of Quinton's life is 40 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that it was justice. I mean, granted,
Mike
she
is
could.
going in and out.
Is it? Hold on. Let me look at something. I don't know why it would be doing that.
It's like going halfway to like Mickey Mouse voice and then normal and then halfway back to.
Is it doing that for everybody else or just for Allie? Because
Yeah.
everything is right over here on my end.
It could be for me and it could be the volume boosters.
It's probably the boosters.
Let's see. Not even close to justice. I agree, Bendy. No comments yet about if it's doing it for them. If it is, then we'll just continue. I'm going to turn them off right now anyways.
Okay. Yeah, you shouldn't need it on mine because mine I used volume boosters.
Now you sound better. Sounds good on my end. I think it was good for us. Okay, good. Okay. So, sorry.
That's all right. No, you're fine.
But I 100% agree with you. I want you to continue, but you're right. It is like they're saying his life is worth 40 years. That's what it's worth. So I don't like that, but
I don't like it either. I also, one of the overriding comments that kept coming up during testimony for Leilani and was that they're not sure. There's not 100%. Leilani herself said that as well in her letter, that she had the unadmitted gall and audacity to write. Okay.
yeah.
First of all, 100% isn't required by law. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. That's number one. We'll start there. Number two, throwing Danny in the mix. Okay. When you take a step back and you look at what law enforcement did in this case, including but also particularly when Quinton's remains were found, the care that they took in transporting him, personally, they didn't want to put him, on a plane. Okay. Is there anything that tells anybody in their behavior, in law enforcement's behavior, that if Danny had one scintilla of something to do with this crime, that they wouldn't have charged him to the fullest extent?
Yep.
So to bring in Danny, it is symptomatic, in my opinion, of the way that family felt about Quinton in general, period. And the way that they have all of her life excused Leilani's behavior. I think for Billy Joe, what's happened is, and this is really sad, She is parenting, in my opinion, from a place of guilt. She feels guilty about what happened, about her behavior when she was a young mother a mother when her children were young.
Yep.
And she has been parenting from that place ever since. And they coddle and they excuse. And I understand that what today was about was a hearing. It wasn't
Speak it, sister.
it wasn't 100% victim impact statements, but for the love of fucking Pete, could one of these people have spoken for Quinton? Could one of these people have said, this is what we will be missing out on? Quinton was so happy. He was so smart. He was such a quick learner. He could have done anything. He could have been the president. He could have cured cancer. He could have cured a number of diseases. He could have invented something amazing. But didn't any of them use their time to say that? No. What did they talk about? His bow legs. And
Yeah.
They wanted like cheese, which is all cute and all endearing. Every human being on the planet has like these little idiosyncrasies and a something that is a unique trait to them. And I understand talking about that, but it was so small of a mention when it came to Quinton that it was disgusting to me and it irritated me beyond belief. I understand what a difficult position Billie Joe was in. That is her daughter and that is her grandchild. But if you're going to, she could have advocated or spoke for both of them.
I
But she
completely
didn't.
agree. She could have been loving towards Leilani and loving towards Quinton as well, and added in just, I don't know, anything about what this has done. She's obviously been destroyed emotionally. Why can't you explain like the loss that you're going through without him? Or
Right. You obviously brought a whole ass pamphlet up there to read. Why don't you refer to your notes?
Claus, I'm glad you made it home.
Oh, yes, me too.
Yeah, what a big deal for Claus to be able to be there today. I bet you, I can't imagine how that must have felt going to so many days of trial and nobody showing up. And then today, all of a sudden, you have all of them there. I would have been shocked. But Jen, I'm with you. I think you said it perfectly. It's really disappointing. And I don't know, like I had gotten this. I'm surprised a little bit because the way that it seemed watching the interview, it seemed like Billie Joe was going to hold her accountable. And I don't know that that's happening. So, because remember back when those first interviews came out, even when the stepfather first spoke with the local news with Billie Joe and said, hey, something is not adding up here. Leilani is not telling the truth. They were the first people to let us know. And it's just shocking to me that it's like back to, I was a terrible mom and I wasn't there so much. And then when I got off the drugs, I was addicted to work and I wasn't there for you. We all go through hard times. We all have times when we don't have anyone. We all have times when our knees hit the floor and we have to pick ourselves up and pull up our big girl panties and go the hell on with our lives. I'm sorry, but that doesn't give you an excuse to do what you did to this baby.
No. And here's the thing. If the judge was ever I think the judge had an idea of how she was going to, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if she were, when she started the hearing today, right, if her needle was in the middle between life without parole and life with parole, in my opinion, this letter should have pushed that needle all the way to life without the possibility of parole, because this is zero accountability. None. This is, I didn't do it. They didn't prove it. They've been on my ass since day one for no reason.
Yeah.
This is immature bullshit. And she's young. So I get that she's immature. But for Pete's sake.
Now, for you guys who hadn't seen the letter, who came in late, this was the letter that they mentioned at the beginning today. Claus actually sent it to me right before everything started today. And thank you again for that now that you're here. But she says there's no factual evidence against me, as in no concrete without a doubt evidence. All they have is speculation. They do not have, and makes a list of DNA evidence, forensic evidence, eyewitnesses, no murder weapon, no camera or video evidence, time of death to prove I was at home during the tragedy, no cause of death, no proof any abuse to Quinton or other children. I understand if you're...
Let me stop you right there, Ho. If not for your mother intervening again, your children would have gone to the state. Stop playing with these people.
Yeah, true. Good point. She says, I understand if you're skeptical. Now, this was right before the trial. She said, I implore you to do your own investigation into my claims. The public, this is the part that's like,
yes, blame us.
Not. Yeah. The public deserves to know some of the facts of this case and not only speculation based in circumstantial evidence. I firmly believe that if the investigators weren't mainly focused on me from day one of the investigation, that they may have found the evidence they lack and therefore the actual murderer. They, the state, are attempting to railroad me instead of admitting they have accused the wrong person for the past almost 2 years.
I forgot that her trial was in October and that this was written in August.
Yeah, at the beginning of September. Yeah, so it's right before, which is why she says, I guess, the no evidence, because there is some evidence. You can't sit there and say, now, yeah, it is circumstantial.
Right, but okay, and Leilani and anybody else out there who doesn't circumstantial evidence is not non-evidence. They've built, before DNA, there was blood typing, but which would have been considered direct evidence. Okay, DNA is much better evidence, direct evidence, but it does. Is another, it's not better evidence. It is a more definitive piece of evidence than circumstantial evidence. But when all of the circumstances continue to add up and add up and add up,
Yeah.
If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. We don't go around calling ducks chickens.
Yeah.
Because we haven't, if we can find the duck feather, hear the duck quack, and we don't go around saying, that's a chicken.
But exactly. I'm sorry, but we have you on camera going to the dumpster. We have you admitting to making up this Oragel story. We have the Oragel story. We have Misty. I mean, come on. We have piece after piece to show that you are the one responsible. So yes, you're right. She has created the circumstances where we don't have all of the evidence. There is no weapon or whatever and other things, but it's not necessary.
But by the way, what Leilani and Leilani's family who's side-eyeing Danny, did y'all not hear the calls or the recorded video and all that between Leilani in the hotel room with Danny? Now, he's confronting her about what happened. Now, don't you think that if he was a part of it, that she would have said, you were there, you did it, why are you asking me?
Yep.
Did she?
Exactly.
No, she didn't.
Well, BJ said she watched the trial, so I'm really curious how they get around that, because it seems that some of them, like the aunt, I believe that they should be punished equally, Danny and Leilani. What? Did you not see what we all saw?
Right. Well, they've been pushing this Danny situation since there were people out in front of their home twerking and yelling and, doing all of the things. This has been a motive that has been floated in the public for a very, very long time.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to link Jen's stream, and then I want to play just part of this and get your reaction, now that you've thought about it and with me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let me mute. What in the actual F is happening
You
here?
understand what we're here for today,
Yes,
correct?
Tanika, this is her
I've
mother.
asked you to come
What in the
forward.
F is
You
the
wanted
first thing
to
we
make
hear?
a statement on Leilani's behalf, did I not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you understand the court is the only sentence in the state of Georgia on a murder conviction is either life with or life without parole. You understand that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you,
Hang on. I have to say this. If I don't say it, it's gonna
Oh my
bother
God, that's
me.
tripping me
This-
out. I thought you were wanting me to pause it, but you were saying it on your thing. So I just went to pause it.
That's Chinlu in the past. This is like not the
Sorry.
Chinlu of the future of the present. The
Okay.
island on Lost. Whenever they the hatch blew and they were the island kept shifting into different time periods. That's what this feels like.
still having
Okay.
a chance to address the court and
Here
say
we
what's
go.
on your mind. Would you like to do that?
Yes, sir.
And you can either speak naturally, or I can ask you questions, or you can read from a prepared statement if you'd like to. That's how. Which do you prefer? Not trying to put you on the spot, but you were unsure before.
I am still unsure.
Okay.
Well, our drugs has taken and had a huge impact on our entire lives. Even as Leilani's childhood, I failed her as a mom.
See,
I allowed addiction to take over my life at a young age. And you and your brother were just babies. And you lived with my sister. I made sure you were okay. And through those times, it was still really hard on you because you wanted your mom. Just like I know they're going to want their mom. When you come to live with me, I'd already changed my life. And I'd been working really hard.
this is very sad, but look, it's not what this is about. And this is like, it's like she's, I don't know. I just don't like conflating the two. I'm sorry that Leilani had a rough childhood. I'm sorry that, it took Billy a while to get on her feet, but this is about Quinton. And I can understand she's like, why is she, it's like she's explaining it to Leilani. Like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. It happened because of me. When, no, this is because of Leilani. Oh, it's just frustrating. What do you think, Jen?
That's exactly what it is. It is this, what Billy Joe is saying here is what you would want to hear from Leilani.
Yeah.
Billy Joe is taking accountability as if this is her fault,
Yeah.
as if she did this.
Yeah. You're right. And standing with her when she gets her sentence.
Yes.
What in the world?
Ridiculous.
But I had changed my addiction from drugs to work. And I still neglected your needs, your emotional needs. I still wasn't there for you to be your mom. My decisions have played an impact on things that have happened in your life. And there's absolutely nothing I can do to take it away. But I'm working every day on it, every day between counseling and parenting classes and taking other classes because I want to be better. Because I have to believe that it's still not too late and that we still have a chance, regardless of what it looks like. Quinton and the other children changed my life even more. I was so afraid for you that I never let you fail. Always just scooped right in and fixed everything.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Wasn't good for you. It didn't allow you to grow and to be able to make good decisions for yourself. I do take accountability for that. Because I should have been a better mom and a better grandma. I should have seen something. You deserved better, and so do your children, all three of them. We might not be able to bring Quinton back, but he needs to come home, and we're all going to hold him one last time. I just want to make it better, Leilani, and I don't know how. All I can do is be here for you and answer every phone call, talk to you and be there. Listen, really listen. I'm really listening. I love you, and we're going to get through it because I raised you to know that I love you unconditionally. And today I do not put conditions on that.
God.
Okay, it's not about, I'm not suggesting that Billy Joe abandoned, that's her child. A mother's love is deep and it's forever. Okay. And probably a father's love too. I can only speak to how a mother loves because I'm a mom. And I understand her loving her daughter through this still. That part I get. But saying things like, maybe I should have seen something, when the babysitter has testified that she, every time there was something wrong or amiss or going on, that she told Billy Joe. She communicated that with Billy Joe. And at the end of the day, clearly something was amiss to begin with, because Billy Joe, you had to intervene so that Leilani did not lose permanent custody of her children, of the boys. So there was obviously something going on. And I will say this as well. When it comes to signs of addiction or a relapse back into addiction, former addicts can sniff it out quicker than the average public, than somebody who has never used illicit substances or prescription used anything. We can sniff it out and see the signs before other people do, because an addict knows. It's kind of, so how she, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I mean, I feel for Billy Joe, and I don't want to attack her too much, because she is a victim in this, because Quinton was her grandson and it was perpetrated at the hands of her daughter. And that's got to be some really complex, serious, deep, emotion and turmoil. Yeah. But I just wish she would have spoke for Quinton as passionately as she spoke for her daughter. And that is what breaks my heart. That's why I'm upset. It's not because she spoke passionately for her daughter. It's because she didn't speak passionately for Quinton. That's why I'm upset.
I completely agree. And I was thinking, when we were sitting here listening, that I was going to say, okay, now I'm going to skip to the part where somebody said something nice about Quinton. Oh, wait.
Right.
Didn't hear that, so I can't do that.
Other than the babysitter.
Yes, in which I should play that actually really quick. I'm glad you mentioned that, because, the one that was called a liar. Or
exactly.
Said that she
exactly. And I will say this, Mr. Prosecuting Attorney Clark Kent, Superman, man, I don't give a rat's fat kneecap how much equipment was over there at your computer. We wanted to see that clip again.
Yeah.
No me gusta. I had to deduct points in the talent portion, Mr. Prosecuting Attorney Clark Kent, Superman man, for that.
And then the cat lady says, I thought she said she did feel like her daughter did it in the beginning. So in the beginning, when Quinton first went missing, she did an interview with the local news, her and her husband, and they said, we can't tell we don't know if Leilani's telling the truth. She has a history of being dishonest. So they did raise the red flag in the beginning. So there was obviously a reason they felt that way,
but once the situation with Danny was okay. So when when Danny dipped, that is when there would be hints, just like from Paul Simon's song, You Can Call Me Al. There were hints and allegations at Danny coming from Billy Joe and Leilani.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate too, because it seems like Danny's the one that was really trying to look out for the kids the most out of everybody.
I
So,
mean, Danny, was Danny perfect? Of course not. And perfect is a ridiculous, was he like that? Just excuses that. No, let me just say it like this. The things that Danny did that were wrong, neglectful, irresponsible, dangerous, he took accountability for. And there are moments of Danny reacting to things that Leilani said that are indicative of somebody who ain't in on it.
yeah.
For
exactly.
example, on the porch in the backyard, when law enforcement arrived initially to take Leilani's statement, and she makes a comment about Oragel, and he gives her a look. He confronted her about the Oragel. Not only was there Oragel in the bathroom, there was Anbesol as well, which is does the same thing. So this is, and there was, and let me also say, because I was watching, I was listening and watching comments other places too, and there was talk about immunity. If Danny had gotten immunity, I feel like that would have been the thing that the defense attorney brought up. Okay. It isn't, I don't think that what happened with Danny is a situation of the first one who talks walks.
No, I don't either.
Because Leilani was actually the one talking first.
Yeah. You're exactly right. It's just that they figured out he was being honest. And Pointer
Exactly.
Lover says, I think BJ is convinced Danny did it. I've wondered that myself. Like, is it, in toxic relationships like that where the person is always lying and I don't know. I could just see what if she was convinced. And you know how those kind of moms are that will make excuses for their kid no matter what. Like I know someone like this. I have a friend whose mom is like this, and it doesn't matter no matter what. Even when she's dead wrong, there's an excuse of why she did it and why she's not wrong. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Exactly. Okay. So yes, she was called to the stand by the defense. Okay. But y'all serious? She and the aunt were allowed to either say what they wanted to say, be asked questions, or read. Do you think there was any way that the judge would have stopped her if she spoke for Quinton?
No.
No, because the judge can see that the complexity of the situation, that Billy Joe is both the mother to Leilani and the grandmother to Quinton. There's no way the judge would have been like, oh, no. I'm going to stop you right there. You can't say nothing good about Quinton. No. In fact, one of the things that the defense attorney said was, this is your time to say whatever you want to say.
Yep. You're right. Yes, it was time to speak for Leilani, but also when was the time for victim impact statements in? When was the time to speak for Quinton at all? Yes, the prosecutor, and we're about to watch what the babysitter had to say. And I'm just saying this is the way they did it in this courtroom. So it would be the only time when she could speak for Quinton. And the judge, like you said, absolutely would not have stopped her. She could have absolutely done both, speak up for Leilani, tell Leilani she's sorry. She feels like this is her responsibility as well, and she's taking accountability, while also speaking about how much she loved Quinton and how differently her life looks without him, and her life will look without him in the future, compared to getting to see him grow up one day and, you know, become a dad, go
Yes.
to college, all that stuff.
No, Mayla's mom, I know you didn't think that, babe. I'm sorry. I'm a little spicy because I just think this is such bullshit. So it
No,
came out a little spicier than I intended. Like it might have. It wasn't directed at you. It wasn't directed at anybody specifically. It was addressed to the Ethernet, as it were.
yeah. No, I didn't think it was spicy towards her. I think it was just the
Okay.
opportunity to address that.
Yeah.
They didn't really have impact statements, and they only had like it was her time to speak, and she could have really spoke about anything.
Right. Victim impact statements. Okay. So there are situations where, as a result of what a person is found guilty of, for example, in Florida, a first-degree murder is either going to get you life, natural life, or the death penalty should they seek the death penalty. There's no flexibility in the sentencing. So when we have, like Letitia, that's a much better example. Like Letitia, due to what Letitia was found guilty of in Colorado, there's no flexibility in sentencing. So when that happens, you see what we saw in that, which is where the people come up that want to speak, and they give victim impact statements because there's no flexibility in the sentencing. There's no discretion. In a situation like this, the people coming up to speak are doing both. They are, if they're coming up and speaking when it's the prosecution side to present the aggravating factors, that's when they would come up and speak. That's when they talk about what the loss of the victim meant to them and what they would like to see the judge do. So it's both at the same time in
Right.
in a situation like this.
And that makes sense. And I want to come back to Lee's comment, but Honey says, I hope there's someone there to fight for her to not receive parole, just like Susan Smith. Honey, I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking, like, we have to be vocal in 40 years, 30, 40 years. I'll be 75 years old if it's in 40 years, but I will still be vocal.
I will be 87 years old in 40 years, almost 88.
Oh, but is it true? Because Mikey Bentley's dad, I was talking to him about this today, and he told me that with like states time, you might not do full time. You might do half, like day for day. Each day counts for 2 days and stuff like that in certain states.
I think that would be denoted in the, and also, so, okay, like Susan Smith was sentenced August of 1995, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, this is 2024. So technically, her 30 years would not be until August of 2025, but they typically do the parole hearing the year prior. For example, like look at Gypsy Rose. Look when her parole hearing happens. You know, it's well in advance of the actual date of where you would make your anniversary. I think, yeah.
Well, what I can only find online, like when you search it, it's hard, and I just searched it. A lot of parole stuff comes up, but someone did say on Legal Answers that in Georgia, they were saying you could serve around 80% of your time, but that's just like someone answering a blog or something. So I don't know, but that is something to keep in mind as well, that it may not necessarily be 40 years. There could be good behavior time or whatever. I don't know.
She will get credit for, well, I don't know, because it wasn't put in there, but I would think that she would get credit for the 2 years that she sat awaiting trial.
Right.
But I'll tell you this. I don't give a rat's fat kneecap. If I have to walk in there with my walker, I will hobble. I will use my walker. I will walk. I will speak to the that she should not get parole. And the thing of it is, people, Leilani would have to do such immense changing in order for her to even be able to speak in a way that would get her parole. Like she would have to take accountability. She could not stand in front of the parole board and say, well, I was really convicted on circumstantial evidence and innuendo and a rumor, but I think I should be let out. That's not where you make that type of a plea. That would be in the appellate courts.
Well, it's going to be interesting because you remember I did a request from our email to get anything and everything used in the trial, and they said they won't release anything until she's exhausted her appeals. Now, maybe we could try again, like after the sentencing, and just see, but I wonder how long that will take and what that process will look like in the appellate courts.
Well, first I mean, they have 30 days from today to file an appeal.
Yes, Mayla's mom. The 10 was consecutive, but there was a lot of concurrent, time. But just like as a basic, she got 30 plus the 10.
Right.
But
plus
it could vary.
Like 10 counts of 5 years that she's serving concurrently. So, it wouldn't be, it's not, if now if she'd have made it consecutive, then that would have been 50 years.
Right. Yeah. Now, this is a defense attorney in Atlanta who was answering the question of how much time someone would have to do if they were sentenced to 5 years. And they said typically they will serve around 80% of that time. For misdemeanor cases, there is a 2-for-1 credit in the jails in Georgia, but not apparently for felonies. But again, that's just an answer on like a legal blog. But
wait, what is that? That said, there's not 2-for-1.
Yeah, there's not 2-for-1 like in misdemeanor cases.
Okay, yes, okay. Not in felonies. No, she's going to serve, and it also depends on the felony. Malice murder, she's going to do 30 years, 40 technically because they ran that consecutively. So she has to serve the 40, then she starts her sentence for the 10 years. And then she's eligible.
Right. And I just dropped the link to Jen's. Yes, Adrian, I actually did a live on that, the jurors interview, but I just dropped a link to Jen's live from today. If you guys missed the hearing, I totally recommend watching it in full. It was interesting, but I just want to play this one part that was about Quinton. I think that would be the perfect way to like kind of wrap it all up. And then any thoughts that you have or I have. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The evidence you shall give the court on the issue pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is not like the trial in the sense that I don't have a bunch of questions prepared for you at this point, okay?
Yes, sir.
This is your opportunity to tell the judge what Quinton meant to you and how this all impacted you, and I suppose your family more generally. So have you thought about what you would like to say to the judge about Quinton?
Quinton was like a little brother to me. Quinton meant a lot. Just seeing him smile every day, waking up next to him, he would stay at the lot. Missing him every day, not waking up to see Quinton, not being able to go get Quinton no more. It's a lot. My family loved him a lot. I miss him walking around the house, cheese in his hand, saying bubbles. I miss him just lighting up the room. I miss looking at his little bow legs just run across the kitchen.
His little bow legs running across the kitchen and cheese in his hand.
I
I
know.
Oh my God, I know. But I did put the overlay up just because why are they streaming her face when they didn't for the trial? Do you know?
I didn't even think about that. Probably because this is a different scenario, and it's not it's part of a criminal proceeding, but it isn't testifying in the same way. So, and perhaps there was consent and they'd already worked it out.
Like she chose to do it.
Right, exactly. She
Okay.
wasn't subpoenaed, she volunteered.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll just play it then so we can see Leilani's reaction to it. But I just wanted to make sure, like, I just had the thought. So, okay.
I wish I would have had that thought.
It's okay. It's in the moment when all this was happening, it was so intense. I didn't expect it to be this.
Mrs. O says they're not the same person.
It sounds exactly like the person who testified to me, but
Yeah.
and this is, I don't know about that, if that's true. I'm pretty sure it is the same person, but okay. It could be wrong, but I'm like 95% sure based on the name as well that I think it's the same. But
Yeah, me too. Me too.
okay.
So it's justice.
Oh my God. He's so cute.
Let me ask you this, and this is not something that we've talked about before, but it does occur to me to ask you a question.
Mhm.
If Leilani had just come to you and your family and said, look, I can't handle all three of these children. Will you take this one? What do you think your mom would have said to that?
My mom would have took Quinton in a heartbeat. There would have been no hesitation. Quinton, it was like he was blood to us. It was a connection with Quinton. It was a connection with all the kids. But Quinton, my mom would have never said no or nothing. She would have just took him in a heartbeat. She could have.
One moment, please. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, sir.
Thank you very much.
At the beginning, didn't he also acknowledge like this isn't like at the trial where we ask a bunch of questions? I don't know. It just
Yes, he did. He said that at the very beginning.
Okay. Leilani has an attitude. It's like she's mad that I don't know. She's probably mad over her testimony, but I just like
Leilani acts like she's the injured party here. That's what it is for me. And it's so apparent in her smug attitude. I mean, look what she's doing while she's in jail, awaiting trial for the murder of her child. She is communicating with a whole chomo.
Yep.
That says it all about how what value she places on children in general.
Yep. Calling him hubby.
Yes.
Yep. Don't forget about that. That's exactly right. Not only him, but also another convicted felon who sends her money. She's basically really living it up in jail, talking to all kinds of men, has a little hubby, getting money, doing whatever she pleases. Because we know from Letitia that they have a lot of privileges in jail. They just do.
Fraternizing with somebody at the rehab, like you're there to focus on getting yourself where you need to be.
Yep.
And what are you doing? Worrying about knocking the dust off.
Yeah, it really shows though, like if your child was really missing and you had nothing to do with it, nothing, and you
Oh, we lost Allie. Excuse me. What I should be saying is not what I'm saying. She shouldn't be worrying about she should be she's worried about getting the dust knocked off. That's what she is worried about when she's in rehab, not whatever it was I said.
Yeah, and if she really had nothing to do with this, then like she says in her little letter, would you not be worried about them finding your baby? Would you not be concerned about that? Like, no, it just makes no sense. You would not be, I'm sorry, but if anything happened to any of my kids, I'm not going to have friends, boyfriends. I'm not going to be interested in doing any of that shit for a long, long time. There is no way in hell.
Right. Let's say, Leilani, to your point, right? The night that all of this happened, okay, we know that Leilani was on the Oragel, on the Percocets, right? So if somebody took your kid while you were hopped up on illicit and prescription substances, would that not scare the absolute shit out of you, so that when you went to rehab, you would be like, I'm never touching that again? Like, that would be, most people in that type of an event, that type of trauma, would make that connection. They would connect the kidnapping of their child with the drug use.
Yeah, absolutely.
And wouldn't want to ever do anything like that again. But because of the type, people do, and I understand this, and I'm not judging her for going to rehab or even needing rehab. What I am judging her for is how she behaved while she was in rehab. She didn't take the shit seriously. She went there as in a way to sway public opinion, in my opinion. That's what I think. It didn't work, Leilani.
No, not at all. And it only makes you look worse now that we know what you were really doing in there. But so many people in this chat, and like many of our friends, lots of people we know have unfortunately, sadly, lost a child. I can guarantee you that if you ask those mothers who are loving mothers who their whole life was destroyed, they would not have been worried about men or anything else, shortly after. There's no way in hell. It just makes no sense that if it wasn't you, you would behave the way that you have.
Correct. She simply just does not care. She did not ever bond with Quinton. He meant nothing to her. He was garbage to her, which is why she put him where she put him. Yeah. I don't think that she knew what would happen to him going in that dumpster, like what the trash truck does and everything like that. That I don't think she knew. But she threw him away in a dumpster because she didn't want him to be found. She was covering up for her crime. And she's just...
Yeah, that's right. It's disgusting. And your Pointer Lover has a good point, though. BJ and her were also partying while they were searching the landfill.
Now, I remember BJ getting up on a panel and talking about that. That she maintains she was not partying.
Yes, I forgot about that. But now that you say that, because that's what they put out in court today, too, that Leilani said she wasn't partying. And BJ did get on a panel and talk about that and say that she wasn't drinking or anything. They were just eating. Wait a minute. Where are my notes from that part? Because
Control F.
Oh, now I'm all the way wrong. It's a screenshot, though.
Oh.
So November, October the 18th.
Stingray. Yeah, that's it right there, babe.
And the waiter said that she was flirting, partying, drinking, and having a good time and cheersing. But it's not just word from the waiter. They also have security footage. So it wasn't just lies and bullshit. It was actually them lying to us and bullshitting us that there was drinking and partying happening.
Correct. They were doing the lies and the bullshittery.
Yeah. Correct. They were doing the lies and the bullshittery. Yes. Again, another lie to us. Yep. Mr. Dean said she was drinking and having a good time.
Yep.
Georgia says, can you guys believe she's currently in chats acting like nothing happened today? Wow. I know, look, I'm I can understand how you'd be drawn to YouTube, especially in their case, because everyone at their house and stuff, and you'd be curious, what are people saying about me? What are they putting out? That kind of thing. But, you know, the messages that were put in chats during the trial, that there was more to the story and there was violence going on in the relationship and stuff like that. I don't like any of it. And I don't really have much else to say besides that. I just am not a fan of it. It just breaks my heart just a little bit more for Quinton.
Mhm.
So
I got nothing.
yeah,
I mean, I got a little something. I mean, to be fair,
give
to
it
be
to us.
fair, like just I don't know where she was or what she was saying, but what somebody is typing in chat isn't really that, like, it doesn't give you like a full picture of what's going on. I mean, my friends can tell
That's true.
you I was sick to death worried about Olivia and this interstitial lung disease diagnosis 2 Christmases around this time 2 years ago. And yet I knew about it before I talked about it. And I still went live and stuff like that, because although I know it's not quite the exact same thing, it's just that if I would have never spoken about it publicly, nobody would have ever known about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's not, to me, going live and talking about true crime was a distraction. And perhaps for her, I think I might know where she was hanging out, and I'm not judging. And this has nothing to do with that. What I'm saying is that place has been a source of comfort for her. And perhaps that's why she went there today, because today was so hard for her.
Well, you're right. We don't know what's going on. I'm not a fan of it, because at least during these times, I feel like it makes people, I don't know.
It does cause people to feel some type of way and make judgments that may, while everyone is entitled to their opinion, the optics of it is not good.
Right. And it takes away from Quinton, in my opinion, because then we're talking about that. And yeah, so we'll just leave it at that. But
right, exactly.
It is. And I just wish we would have gotten more of like who would he have been? Where would he be today?
Right.
Like anything.
But that tells you how young he really was. That babies, in my opinion anyway, at least all 4 of mine, came out the gate with their own individual personalities. But obviously, as they move through time and they get older and older and older, right, their little personalities develop more. And so you kind of, like, you think to yourself when they're, around Quentin's age, gosh, I wonder, that's when I did anyways, right around 2 years old, I wonder what my sons are going to be when they grow up, or I wonder what my girls are going to be when they grow up, you know?
Yeah, you're right. It does show you how young, but even, I don't know, like as soon as your kid's born, you start kind of thinking about that. Hell, my kids, I feel like they had personalities in the damn ultrasounds. You know what I mean? And like, as soon as they're born, I'm picking up on these like different parts of who they are. And,
yeah, that's true. And I mean, it is true that, obviously, it seems sad to me, but I did think that it was an excellent point. And I do believe that Leilani knew this. I believe that Leilani knew if she would have called the babysitter and said, I just can't. I'm overwhelmed. It's too much. Or even if she just said, I can't, that the babysitter would have taken, and her family would have taken Quinton.
I agree.
Yes, seek justice. I would agree with that too. It's just that, I was really young when I was pregnant. And so, it's kind of hard for me. Like, I remember, all my kids, I thought they were going to come out and be gymnasts or soccer players, the way that they kicked and flipped around, and all of them, every one of them, I had C-sections. So all their little umbilical cords were all like twisted like a phone cord, from how they would be spinning around in there. Except for my oldest daughter, because at the end she was, when she was born, she was 8 pounds, 10 ounces, and she was head up and booty down. And at the end there, like, she was such a little butterball, she could hardly turn.
Aw.
I mean, I'm not that big of a girl to begin with, so there wasn't like
I
that
love
much
chubby babies.
space.
They're
But
the
she came
best.
out like a whole little butterball. She weighed exactly as much as both of my boys put together, because my
Oh
oldest
my
son
gosh.
was 2 pounds, 4 ounces. And then my second son was 6 pounds, 6 ounces. And my daughter was 8 pounds, 10 ounces. I mean, she was beautiful.
Aw, how
All my kids are beautiful, but like, she was such a little pork chop. It was so cute. And then Minnie Bindi was so tiny. She
I could see
weighed
that.
5 pounds, 1 ounce. No, 5 pounds, 5 ounces. She was so tiny. And she looked like, when they brought her over to us, because like I said, I had C-section, you know how they clean them all up and they put that little beanie on them and then they wrap them up or whatever. She looked like a little spider monkey.
Oh,
And when both of me and my husband said, when the nurse handed her to me, "Oh, look at the little monkey," she did, because she had she has just the tiniest little face and the biggest eyes, big brown eyes, so she looked like a little
I love
monkey.
the big brown eyes on the little babies.
Mhm.
But Seek Justice, thank you so much for being a member for 3 months. Salmonella says, was BJ on drugs when she had Leilani and her brother? And now I don't know if she was during birth, during pregnancy, but she did make, statements about how Leilani's childhood was ruined by her drug use today. So,
Mhm.
and then Bogart, happy birthday again. I hope you have the best day. Bogart says, all the children lost could have cures for cancers and diabetes and so on. Jen says that all the time.
I do.
Mhm.
When children are murdered, when we, even when they're not murdered, when we lose a child, the world loses the potential of that child.
Yeah, you're right. Georgia says, I'm sick about the disrespect the babysitter and her
Mhm.
daughters have gotten. Now that I think about it, seeing the whole picture, because back then, I've got to
Mhm.
admit, I was somehow snowed a little bit that is the babysitter lying? Is there something like, I don't know. I just was convinced, I was halfway convinced that maybe everything wasn't true from them and they were like doing the lives and stuff. And
Mhm.
now after seeing everything, I think I was totally wrong. And they just loved Quinton and
Wanted to talk about him and wanted to correct or tell their part of it,
yeah, yep.
and
at the time, I
but
was
back
thinking,
then, that just
yes,
goes to show you, Allie, how we can be fooled by optics.
yeah, you're right.
We
And
all
especially,
can, because I side-eyed them too. I'll sit right here and say the same thing.
thank you. Yes, because it's like you hear BJ who's saying like, don't believe him, it's bullshit. We're told that, the babysitter's showing these bruises or this, and it's not, it's really food. And then we have BJ
Yeah.
outside of the babysitter's house, like, and all this stuff happening. And I kind of was
Mhm.
thinking, are they like in, like, they're drama queens, you know what I mean? And they're just
Right.
like making things a little worse than they are. And I was so wrong.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right. And it's okay. See, this is the thing. It's okay for us to be wrong, because I think I only did one live stream about Quinton on my channel. It's okay to side eye. When things don't, when you're first learning about a case, there's nothing wrong with side eye. You should side eye. You
Yeah.
should treat the case the way the cops would treat a case, right? That everybody is a suspect until they're not. It's watching and sitting back and being skeptical and side-eyeing, which is something I would consider like private side-eye, is one thing. Getting up on a platform and outright publicly accusing somebody because of your side eye is very, very different.
Yep, I agree.
But this is why,
completely.
Elliot, and I know you don't either. We've learned. My lesson came a long time ago with the West Memphis case. That happened a long time ago. But like, don't act. I don't want anybody to think that I came to the internet with home training. I didn't. I had to learn it.
We all do. Yeah, we all kind of get.
I had to learn it. I'm just older, so I've had more time to learn.
So you basically thought the wrong person was guilty in that one, I guess.
Not only did I think I did more than that. I straight out accused on multiple occasions John Mark Byers.
Oh, wow.
Flat out accused him. Until one day it clicked with me. And I don't even remember what it was, because it certainly wasn't anything John Mark Byers did or anybody else did. I don't know what made me have this epiphany, other than maybe age. I was older and had a little bit more life experience than when I first started. But I realized when I was doing what I was doing, I was pointing the finger at somebody the same way based on how he acted or how I perceived his actions to be in a couple of documentaries. And that I was doing the exact same thing that I felt in part had been done to not so much Damien, because Damien did do things and he did it intentionally. Like he did provocate and he did poke at law enforcement. He'll say it. He was an 18-year-old punk. He was a smartass. Jason is the one that always got, I felt like Jason was the one persecuted and looked at just for being friends with Damien. And so one day it just clicked with me. And ever since then, I've been like, that's why I'd be taking a wait and see approach.
Well,
Sorry.
I kind of had the same. No, don't be sorry. I had to mute for a second because someone came in unexpectedly, but I was listening, and you know what? I think it must happen to all of us then. Like Lip Block says, I learned the hard way through Summer Wells. So did I. I learned with number one in the Summer Wells case, because I was very boldly accusing and pointing out red flags and stuff with the parents. I would not do that now this way. They still haven't been arrested. Could they be involved? Sure. But there is a chance that they're not as well. And Heidi Broussard's case, that was one where I was convinced her fiance was guilty. He wasn't. And I've just seen over the years, I cannot believe this, but I'll be streaming for 4 years this coming spring. It's crazy. I didn't used to do it as often. Like it might be like 2 or 3 times a month or something. But yeah, it's been 4 years. And over the years, like things have, I've just seen that not everything is how it seems. True crime, if you're truly here because you want the real factual information, you don't want the bullshit, you want to know the truth of the situation, you have to wait for the trial. You will get information like in Florida with Stephen Stearns sometimes along the way, factual information. But in order to have the whole story, you must wait for trial.
Right, because even getting that information, some of the things that we got in that case, Stephen Stearns case, right? We had no context to some of the things that we got. We don't know how some of the things that have been released, how they fit together yet. Yeah. But we will during the trial. Exactly. And we'll learn that with Tisha, we were all pretty convinced about the order of operations when it came to how Gannon was murdered. And it was not until, and I distinctly remember this because I remember, first of all, I streamed that day, but second of all, I was watching the chat and I was shocked. I know the chat was shocked. And so
medical examiner day.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, cutie pie. You just watched my interview with John Crumbs. This is so random and I shouldn't be interrupting over this, but
no, you're fine.
4 years old. But yeah, continue though, because the order, you're right, the order of his injuries. Like I was
Right.
shocked too. I remember watching with you that day.
Right. I mean, we have, okay, so this is a prime example of one of the things that has come out in the case, right? There have been questions asked about Maddie's cycle. And we all have sort of thought, okay, well, there's got to, there's a reason they're asking this. And, some people have taken it a step further, right? But at the end of the day, that I believe is going to be one of those like things, obviously, that gets answered during the trial. They did ask that for a reason. What that reason is, I don't know, to be honest with you. And now I'm starting to wonder, just based on my experience watching investigations and then the trial, that sometimes what I think why they're asking the question is not why they're asking the question.
Wait,
Does that make sense?
no, can you say it one more time?
Okay, so they asked the question about Maddie's cycle, and they asked it to more than one witness or more than one person during an interview. And we all kind of think we know what the potential reason for asking that is, right?
Yeah.
But we could actually be wrong
Yeah.
in why they asked that question. But I do think it's one of those things that will come out at trial, and then we'll know why they asked that question.
Yeah. That's interesting because we could be wrong. And that's kind of, you can't help but be led to believe a certain way when you start hearing about her missing her cycle and the questions. But you're totally right. You just don't know. And another thing we have to keep in mind is I don't give a damn what the public appearance is, what somebody says in an interview for YouTube, like all of this bullshit, like for instance, with Sebastian's case, because it's talked about a lot right now. Yes. There is so much bullshit. I guarantee you, if you're watching streams on that case, and let's say you've watched 50 hours total of streams on that, it's not even actually a case, on the missing persons case of Sebastian Rogers. If you've watched 50 hours, I would guarantee you've probably gotten maybe an hour of factual information. The rest of it is opinions, bullshit, commentary, people that are mad at each other, which is all going into how they feel. They're this side, that side. Right. You're not walking away with anything valuable. Seriously, there's probably within 50 hours, an hour or two of real, concrete, factual information regarding that case and that situation. It's still talked about all the time. Law enforcement haven't updated for a long time. There's no way there can be more than a couple hours worth of facts.
Right. I said probably on your panel that or maybe it was Dietz's, that if I were to sit down and make a video of just the known facts of this case, facts that were confirmed by law enforcement, the video would be about 5 minutes long. And I know how to make, a longer video out of, I know how to stretch it out, but I think it would be about 5 minutes.
See? So all the other stuff you're taking in, and I'm not judging you for watching it. I sometimes watch some of it. I've really stopped doing that as much lately, but I'm not judging anybody for watching it because I've done it with other cases where I will take in everything I can about specific case. Just remember and keep in mind that most of it is bullshit. It's just opinions and somebody having something to talk about. Truly, when it comes to the facts versus all the other fluff. Most of it is just the fluff. Okay, before we go, I want to ask you Georgia's question, and I want to answer it as well. She says, Alex and Jinlu, how do you guys honestly feel about BJ hanging out on YouTube channels, especially tonight, pretending like today didn't happen? And how did you feel about what she said today? Do you want to answer first, or you want me to answer first?
Go ahead. It's your channel.
Okay. Okay, so far as her being in YouTube chats and stuff, I don't think too much about that. I mean, I hang out in YouTube chats, and sometimes, like, even when a lot is going on, like when Bentley broke his arm, for instance, maybe I wasn't chatting, maybe I was, but I was in a high stress situation and like have a moment while I'm not able to be in there with him because of something going on. Then I'll pull up YouTube and whatever. So I don't think too much about her being on YouTube. I do think that, you know, it's something that you should think about, and think about like the public perception of what you're doing and what you're saying, especially in relation to, like, in memory of your grandson. I think that it should be something she considers. I don't think she's considering that, but regardless, I feel a couple ways about what she said today. I don't have feelings about the YouTube thing, though, other than what I said. But what she said today, I feel good and negative thing. I have good and bad to say about, because for one, you know, I'm really so sorry that she had to be there for this. And I do feel for her. She is a victim in this, like Jen said. But, you know, I feel like she's missing the point just a little bit. This wasn't necessarily about how did this happen or why she was pleading her case to Leilani as if she caused this or she did something wrong. It shouldn't have been about that, in my opinion. I felt like the message was lost. There could have been something said about Quinton. It should have been about Quinton. He's the one who lost his life ultimately. Now, I understand they're fighting for Leilani's life too now at this point, but he would be most important to me. So I'm really sad to see that he wasn't. I could understand some of it. My heart goes out to her. But yeah, I'm not happy that Quinton wasn't mentioned. And I don't understand why it was this apology. It was as if Billy Joe was taking responsibility for this, which is dumb, toxic, shouldn't be happening. Shows a lot about how Leilani got how she was. Seems like there was somebody making excuses for everything she did ever. And that's all. What do you think?
Okay, so as far as being in the YouTube chats, I don't really see that. I'm not going to judge her for that, because like I said earlier, it's possible that, you know, it's for a distraction. And I will also agree with what Ali said, that the unfortunate part about it is that the optics are bad. And so it makes, it gives people a reason to be even more critical of her and harder on her. And it's one thing, you know, people can be critical, people can be harsh, but I've seen it escalate to a point, not in here or anything like that, but like where it's actually cruel. And I don't, you know, I don't like to see that. And as far as what she said today, again, this Ali said basically, you know, I agree with what Ali said, because it's basically what I said earlier. I don't have an issue with her speaking up for her daughter. That's her daughter. A mother's love is deep and unconditional. It should be anyway. Obviously, Leilani didn't get that gene. So what was disheartening to me and what made me sad is that she didn't speak for Quinton at all. That's what upset me, is that, you know, I thought I wasn't all that shocked that she spoke that she was going to speak. But I feel like, I thought I was shocked that she didn't use that time to speak for the actual victim, which is Quinton.
Yeah.
And that's what made me sad.
And I can understand the outrage from people who are seeing it. And they're like, wait a minute. Like Georgia said, only police and the babysitter spoke for Quinton. You're hanging out just like nothing happened today. We are sitting at home, like a lot of us, crying and emotional over watching the sentencing today. How can this be? What is happening? How is this happening? How is it okay? So I can understand the outrage. Mm-hmm. I just also know that, you know, especially let's say she is in recovery, because I know this from doing it myself. That's how I found YouTube and online communities. I had no friends in real life. So because I was trying to stay out of that world, and all of my friends were still there. So, yeah. I mean,
and also think about what happened 2 years ago, not just the crime itself. Okay, because likely they would have been ostracized in that neighborhood any damn way after the facts of the case had come out. Okay. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form excusing, justifying, saying what occurred in front of that home was at all okay, right, in any way, shape, or form. It's not even in the freaking neighborhood of right. Okay. If it wasn't what happened, that demonstration out front was an absolute dumpster fire of inappropriateness and wrongity wrong.
Agreed.
What I will say is I would imagine because of that, it escalated their being ostracized much quicker. And I would imagine that
That's a good point.
people are in her real life, Billy Joe's real life, so she's got to have at least one or two people, right, are as conflicted over it as we are, where I would imagine she has friends who are like, I don't care if it was my kid and they did that to my grandchild. That's it. That's all. I'd be done. I'd be cut off.
Yeah.
They'd be cut off. And they don't understand why Billy is still communicating with her daughter. So I would, I would imagine she's quite ostracized in her real life.
Yeah, that's a great point. I had not even considered that, but I would bet she is. Amber Lou, we love you back. And then my other Amber is here, and she said the baby is a month old today.
I
Amber,
know. I'm tomorrow, right? No, today.
Did she say today or tomorrow? Maybe she said tomorrow. Yes, you're
Tomorrow.
right.
Okay.
Apparently, I can't read, but thank you, Jen.
Sorry, I can't even YouTube. I was commenting to Music City, and another commenter who was asking. They were commenting on Allie's post that she shared my live stream, and they were commenting. And when I was scrolling, I didn't even realize that that's what it was. So here I come answering questions that are not posed to me. It was my first day on damn YouTube.
And then I came in behind you and I was like, well, if that question was for me, here's the answer to one of them.
Oh my gosh.
That was funny. But okay, I'm going to let you guys go because I must go eat. But I'm happy to be back. I'm going to the beach next week, but I'm still going to stream while I'm there. I'm just going to find a way to make it work. And then Jen, what do you have planned? Do you have anything this evening? Or I know you streamed earlier today.
I streamed twice today. Already.
Yeah, check them out if you haven't seen them, you guys. You've been really, when I get sick, you just get to work and like busy. I feel like you've had you've had a few lives.
So I was going to stream tonight, but you guys, I'm tired. But I actually am kind of enjoying doing the morning. I don't know that I'm going to go so early in the morning, like maybe, because I know I want Allie to be able to get back to her true crime and coffee, but I am somewhat enjoying doing the day lives as well. So I want to continue going over Chloe Driver's case and listening to the testimony, because we're now up to the state's expert witness, mental health expert witness. And so I want us to listen to that, because I'm still like, I don't know if the jury got it right just yet, so there's that. And then we also have Sarah Boone's case, or her sentencing is December 2nd. And I'm working on something for that. And so I feel like I need to, if I'm ever going to finish it, I need to have it. I need to be working on it. So I'm going to do that tonight. And then, I just looked at the date, and even though I knew this, tomorrow is going to be Elizabeth's birthday, my oldest daughter's birthday. I know.
What an awesome birthday. 1122.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. I have to go because my doggy's wanting to out.
I hear.
Dinner's ready, and we still have homework and showers and all kinds of stuff to do. So thank you, Jen, so much for joining me. I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate your beautiful brain and letting you sharing that with us. And So thank you. And you guys go check out the full, if you didn't watch today, I'm going to drop Jen's link one more time. Go watch the full sentencing because you need to see it every moment. It was really very interesting. And then also I'm certain that Melissa is going on in a few minutes.
Yes.
With
And
some
also
ways-
if you choose to go and watch it on my channel, I appreciate that first and foremost, if that's what you choose. I'm going to tell you, I had some outbursts.
That's why you should watch it on her channel. That is why you should watch it on her channel. And then, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it so much, all you guys. And I hope to see you tomorrow. I'm going to go get some,
I'm hungry too.
homework, dinner, showers, laundry, all kinds of stuff to do. So
My tummy is eating a hole in my back.
mine was growling a few minutes ago. So. All right. Thank you. Congrats to the chat, to the mods, to my beautiful Bendy. Please go check out her channel if you haven't yet. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you, Allie.
Thank you.